Welcome to a brand new episode of Trending Topics with BB. As you can see, it is a solo episode. I wanted to give some updates, and this is episode 140 of Trending Topics with BB. In case you are new here watching or listening, my name is Brooke Brown. I am your host of this podcast. I've been doing this podcast for almost 9 years. I don't know. I started in 2014. And here, for those that don't know how this started, let me give you the backstory on Trending Topics with BB. It is a podcast that actually wasn't a podcast to begin with. It started on YouTube, on my YouTube channel that some people may be watching this live on youtube.com/SAXY15, Saxy15, as you see on the screen or see on my socials or anywhere you find this podcast based on my screen name. And then it morphed into just an audio-only podcast, but now we're back to video and audio for the podcast. And I've been doing this for quite some time, watching the podcast space and basically anything related to the podcast change over the years based on the technology and popularity of this medium. But first, I'm going to have to read a little something because I do have a sponsor. For those that watched or listens to the podcast from last week, shout out to you. Thank you for tuning in to our Lucifer discussion. That is up for replay on the Twitch channel and YouTube, and you can check out the podcast feed for that episode. But if you will check it out, I do have a sponsor, and that sponsor is Amazon Music Unlimited. And I have a few updates to alert you. Just so you know, if you signed up with the link getamazonmusic.com/Saxy15, SAXY15, you will get a 4-month free trial of Amazon Music Unlimited. Now, I do want to let you know that is going to only be valid through June 22nd. And as I record this episode, it is currently June 10th. So you only have 12 more days to use getamazonmusic.com/Saxy15 to get those 4 free months of the Amazon Music subscription unlimited for you, which gives you access to over 70 million music songs. There's podcasts. You can find this podcast on Amazon Music. So definitely check out getamazonmusic.com/Saxy15. Along those lines, I do want to let you know that this episode is also brought to you by the Prime Day show of Amazon Music. Amazon Music is obviously part of Amazon, and upcoming at the end of this month is also Prime Day on June 21st and June 22nd. And they have what is now called the Prime Day show. It's available to stream on Amazon Prime Video June 17th. It features Billie Eilish, Her, and Kid Cudi. Prime Day show viewers will be treated to 3 unique experiences that fuse performance and storytelling, transporting fans to worlds inspired by Paris, the Dunbar Hotel, and outer space. All 3 episodes of the Prime Day show will premiere globally starting June 17th on Prime Video and will be available to all customers for 30 days with or without a Prime membership. So definitely hop on that. Also, Amazon's annual Prime Day, as I mentioned, is held June 21st and June 22nd. It's kicking off the summer with 2 days of incredible deals. All you Amazon people and best savings of Prime has to offer. The Epic Shopping will deliver Prime members over 2 million deals across every category. So definitely check that out. And like I said, you have till June 22nd, the second day of Prime Day, to use getamazonmusic.com/Saxy15 to get the 4 free months of Amazon Music Unlimited. All right, now that that's out of the way, I do also want to remind you the official website of this podcast is trendingtopicswithbbpodcast.com. There I upload all the new episodes in audio and visual aids based on YouTube. And basically, definitely tune in when you can. If you are on any platform, I do want to ask you a favor. Please, if you are on any platform that you can rate and obviously subscribe or follow this podcast, but please leave a favorable rating and comment. What it does to the algorithms of these podcast platforms is helps suggest this podcast to other listeners who may enjoy it. And as I come up with many different guests and episode themes, I hope that you leave a favorable rating or comment. It helps. And if you're a fellow podcaster out there and you're looking for mutual reviews, definitely hit up the email and we can exchange some reviews, because I know podcasting is hard. I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm a small potatoes podcast despite all my hard work. Anyway, all right. So those updates and the sponsorship is out of the way. I did want to update you with some exciting news. So the next episode is actually not going to be on a Thursday. It's going to be on Saturday, June 19th. It's going to be live here on Restream that goes out to all the platforms such as the Facebook page, the Twitch channel, and my YouTube channel. It's going to feature what is now turned into a series of 3 episodes. The first being a discussion with my lovely guest, Christina McBlain, Heidi Conley, and Erica Green. We're going to talk about New Kids on the Block and what it means to be a blockhead. Yes, a fan of New Kids on the Block, since they're still kicking ass after 30 years. They're going to be doing 2 shows this summer. One I am actually attending in Boston at Fenway Park on August 6th. It's going to be like a major, like 20,000 blockhead reunion. It's going to be epic. And on that bill is Belle Biv DeVoe, half of New Edition, which I'm hoping the rest of New Edition shows up, plus other special guests, because that's what it's advertised as. So anyway, save the date for June 19th at 5 p.m. Arizona time for part 1 of the series of NKOTB and Blockheads. The next episode is going to feature some more Blockheads. I'll be announcing that on the social media coming up. Probably maybe July, but we have obviously till August. I want to spread these out a little bit. So just stay tuned to Trending Topics with BB social media. Specifically, the Facebook is Trending Topics with BB. Or if you're on Instagram or Twitter, it's TT with BB. Or definitely just hit up the website I've already mentioned at trendingtopicswithbbpodcast.com. So that's exciting. So there's going to be 3 episodes, 2 with like a group chat, and 1 that might be group chat, but right now I only have 1 guest lined up for that one. So again, stay tuned to the socials for that. I figured with the announcements of the brand new shows and the fact that it's kind of going to be a historic show, that this podcast warrants some discussion about what's coming up at the end of the summer in 2021 after 2020, canceling everything. All right. So another thing that I'm asking all viewers and listeners to do is I have sought out many different types of guests from many different types of walks of life. Feel free to look back at all the archived episodes, mostly music being the main theme of who I've talked to and who I continue to talk to. But I want to reach out to those who listen to this podcast or see this podcast. Definitely email ttwithbbpod@gmail.com. That is always in episode's description or on the website. But if you have any suggestions or somebody that you think would be a great guest, I want to reach out to the community who actually listens to this podcast or will watch this podcast. I basically want to switch this up. We're in a new era of the podcast after taking my hiatus for a few months. So definitely reach out. If you yourself want to be featured, I may well, just reach out. I really don't discourage anybody from reaching out. So, okay, that was a lot of information. But I wanted to do a solo episode based on all of the general updates for the podcast coming up for episode 140. This is kind of a celebration, but I kind of wanted to do it solo because why not? Maybe when we get to 150 or even 200 episodes, it's going to be a epic extravaganza. But we'll see when we get there. So, for those that have heard or will go back and listen to archived episodes, I have done specific series of episodes that some people like or don't like. One of the first series I started was called The Soapbox, where I get on my soapbox about certain topic or topics and rant about it. Let's be honest, I've been working on my mental health for months now, and while it's fun to rant, it's been hard to think of specific soapbox episodes that I could get on that people already don't get on social media. So I have refrained from basically doing that. But I also have a series called Binge What, which was stemmed off the fact that I'm a pop culture junkie. This podcast tends to lean trending topics is basically based on pop culture or what's trending in the news, but more like entertainment news. So I'm going to do kind of both. So if you are a person like me that subscribes to many different social, well, not, I wouldn't say social, there's streaming platforms, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, HBO Max, yada, yada, yada. I want to suggest some content to you. Obviously, last week's episode was all about Lucifer on Netflix, and I've mentioned that multiple times. So I think by now, I'm a fan. I'm a Lucy fan. But another thing I found on Netflix is this movie called Two Hearts. It's a tearjerker. Bring a box of tissues. It's based on a true story. I thought it was going to be like a happy-go-lucky movie. It's a fantastic movie. But check it out. It was trending on Netflix in the last week. In the top 10. Two Hearts. Like I said, it's a tearjerker. So bring that box of tissues. If you're not, well, I'd have to say if I grew up watching Friends, if you may or may not be a Friends fan, the Friends reunion dropped on HBO Max a couple weeks ago. I loved it. It was actually well done. They did a perfect. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but a perfect mix of nostalgia with bringing up old episodes and the cast seeing the set and lots of guest star surprises and interviews and whatnots. So if you're a Friends fan, definitely, and you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. As I'm recording this podcast on June 10th, speaking of HBO Max, In the Heights, the movie dropped on HBO Max and in theaters today. Yes, Lin-Manuel Miranda's first musical turned movie, directed by John Chu, which I have not watched yet, but I'm going to, is definitely grasping. Well, it was supposed to drop last year, and then COVID happened, so they switched and released Hamilton on Disney Plus and pushed this release back a year, which I think was a good decision on their part. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. If you're a musical fan, definitely check it out. Maybe if you're not a musical fan, check it out. All right. What else have I watched? I watch too much content. Sometimes my brain jumbles it all together. It's a good question. It's all kind of blending together. There's too much content out there. I try to keep up, but it's hard. Well, those are suggestions for now. So we're rolling along on this episode of the pod, which will be available for replay immediately after in video form and on the podcast feed on Monday. So that is, let me look at my trusty calendar. Monday, blah, blah, blah. Today's the 3rd. So, is this hard? Monday from today's Thursday. The 14th. So definitely check out the actual audio. And when you're listening to this, that will have already passed. Okay. So I've gotten all of the updates. And I don't really think I'm going to get on the soapbox. We get enough of that from the news, from social media. But to those viewers, the couple of viewers that have been watching this, wherever you are, I thank you for tuning in live. And to those that will be listening to this on the podcast feed, thank you. And again, if you want to support me, definitely leave a favorable rating or comment on any podcasting platform you listen to this. And tell a friend about the pod. Also, one thing, if you have a smart speaker, Alexa, Google Home, Bose, Home, whatever, the cool thing is if you say, whatever, play this podcast, Trending Topics with BB podcast, it will find it. So definitely use your smart speakers out there, people. Helps this podcast. And one last update. I don't mention it all the time, but I do have custom merch that you can get through our friends at T Public. The link is always in the description of these episodes. If you order a t-shirt or any item in the store, a little bit of that comes back to help support this podcast. And coming up this week, the store is going to be having a sale at the end of this week. Well, actually, right now, starting today, now that I think about it. So check out the store. It's probably 35% off. T-shirts are only $13. Like I said, a portion of the sales helps this podcast. So thank you for tuning in. And I will see you in the next episode with a group of lovely ladies to talk about New Kids on the Block. But until then, be safe, everybody.